was completely wasting, out of work and down. All inside, it's so frustrating as I drift from town to town. Feel as though nobody cares if I live or die. So I might as well begin to put some action in my life. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law. That's right, baby. The barbarian dog collector is fucking back for Theological Brodex episode 12. That's right, motherfucker. And we're coming back in strong by God. By the God of thieves. That's right. We're talking Kasadur. Who is Kasadur? Kasadur is the 12th divinity in the 77 divinity cycle of Kasadur, the only form of timekeeping other than the 365-day year that makes sense in my humble opinion. So we're talking Kasadur, and this is a god, a quite villainous in some ways god, but also quite possessed of some positive qualities as well. He has dominions that include things like crime, the black market, burglars, con men, embezzlement, gangs, thievery, highwaymen, rogues, all that sort of thing. He's a trickster. He's a cheat. He's a thug. He's a brute. He is a leader. He is a predator. And he is a boss. And in fact, by his followers, by his faithful, pious gangsters, he is known as the boss's boss. And so he is an entity with power over these things on the street, mind you. And he is, in fact, the god of weasels as well. So he knows how to come on down with the iron fist, and he knows how to intimidate and thug. But he can also cower out and say, "Oh, I'm just the god of thieves. I don't want nothing to do with this. Here, look. You make a deal with me. And we can get up to no good there, can't we? Now, I'll help you. Oh, this is for you. I'll help you." So he's a weasel. He finds ways to duck, bob, weave away from the consequences of any of his actions, and he can take those consequences for angering Mool or for finding himself in trouble with say Helena, and he can hot potato those consequences over into the hands of a god like, say, his sister San, who's of course just going to take that hot potato and just take that hit because she is compassionate and giving and a complete and total just loser bitch. But back on the topic of Kasadur, he is born of death and cold. So there is also this somber aspect to him. He is not a trickster god in the same way that Kratara is a trickster goddess. He is not full of gleeful, clever, and charm, clever tricks to put you into a daze. No, he is a criminal. He is base. He is stone. He is ice. He is the underworld. His tricks are strictly utilitarian. It's not a joke. He's not trying to get a laugh. He's not trying to fuck with you. He's not trying to make a point. He's trying to fuck you over for his direct benefit, for money, for power, for respect, for control over your life. That's what his tricks are. They're not funny. They're not silly. They're extremely straightforward and dangerous. They're someone lying to you to get information about where you live and then showing up at your home with a group of thugs and shaking you down for your money. It's that kind of trick. He's that kind of trickster God, and he's that way to the other gods as well, which is why, for the most part, he is fucking hated. All the other gods hate this guy because he's a dick. He's a douche. He's not funny like Kredera. He just fucks with people and steals from them and lies and cheats, and he's ugly, and he benefits. He takes the fruit of your labor, and you can suck a dick. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that you dislike him. He's not trying to get you to like him. If he wants you to like him, if he wants something like that, he can con you. He knows how to say, look, I know we're not on good terms. Oh no, what you think of me. But on this subject, I think I know a thing or two here, and I think we have a common enemy. He can wheel and deal. So he's disliked, but he has that. He can kind of get you by your balls to the point where you really have no choice. Although he does have some allies, he's very close with Nisknok Thage. And he is also, even though she does not like him, but she keeps him around, he is madly in love with Cinder, which is where maybe some of the more positive aspects of Kasadur come in that this is a god who desires to win the affection of the goddess of freedom and love and passion and among other things. So maybe if you're a really high theology, high piety Kasadurian, you want to some degree aid those things so that you can aid your God in getting that good Cinder booty. Kind of moving on from that, kind of way those elements come into him. Just one more little bit about death and cold. Death is in that Kasadur is ruthless and violent and sort of in a weird way stable. He is rock. He will always be there. When you come with the pitchforks and torches to run him out of town, he doesn't leave town. He just climbs into the dumpster and waits for you to pass him by. He's always where there are people who gather and make laws. Kasadur is there to break them. He's in the cities. He's on the countryside. So he, like stone, will always be there, and like death, there's a certainty to him, and there's a directness and a sort of just lack of I guess you could say abstraction. Things are like that, and like ice, he can adapt and he can shift and he can take different tactics, but he never really changes. Think of people in your life you've known who are always getting up to no good. Who Kasadur's like that. The guy who goes to AA, after rehab, and like 2 weeks later he's back on the bottle, and it's not because he snapped. It's not because he broke. It's because he never really even gave a shit. He was never even serious about rehab, not even from the beginning. Or the guy who goes to prison, gets out of prison, and right back to robbing people, because he was never rehabilitated. Kasadur is like that. That's where ice comes in. And he's cold. He has some love in him. He has some genuine care in him. He cares about his best friend, Nisknok Thage. He loves and is loyal to Cinder, even though she just thinks he's an ugly piece of shit. And he opposes all the destruction that darkness wants. But he doesn't really care about much else than that. He doesn't. He knows that what he does hurts people and other gods. It doesn't bother him, not even a little bit. No amount of suffering from his actions will ever cause Kasadur to question whether or not he should still be up to them. So anyway, what's his church going to look like? Well, except for the church and trade, it's going to be hidden. But they like to show off wealth. So there are going to be little hints. There are going to be thugs in town who have some authority, gang leaders who will be sitting back, smoking those cigars with the tinder box, wearing that bling, and speaking, even though there are these goons, they're going to be speaking far more eloquently. They're going to be saying, "So you come to my home here, and you're asking me questions about where I've been, what I've been up to. Why are you asking questions? How about you stop asking questions?" And, there are these gangsters, and those are the priests. So those are the priests secretly and down in that back street, down in that back alley, they're sitting, preaching to the criminals. Don't listen to them. They're talking about they got more guards than ever. Just be more careful than ever. Kasadur is with you, my brothers and sisters. He sees you. He sees the work you do. They don't approve, but he approves. Why should we grovel? Why should we be poor? Why should we follow their rules? I say no. Kasadur says no. So go forth and fight for what you deserve. Preaching, this is something that always gets on my nerves with thief gods in games, is yes, this is a thief, this is criminal organizations, all that. It's still a god, and it's still a religion. And, just like the vast majority of people who worship the war god are not necessarily going to be warriors, except for in certain situations, or, you look at, say, a god like Peligan. The majority of Peligan's worshippers are not conquering warlords going out to build civilizations and rule over cities. Most of them are just like farmers and cobblers and just like people who work in the city. And just like with that, you're going to get with Kasadur a lot of just ordinary people who have hard lives, who hear the preaching, who get brought into this religion where criminals are going to protect them more effectively than the actual government. And, they're starting to live this life outside of the law, but they're just a cobbler, or they're just some homeless bum who's given odd jobs by the church, and he gets paid and he gets food because he does odd jobs for them. So there's going to be still those people coming into that temple, that hidden temple that is outside just some butcher shop, and then you go down into the basement, and there's gold and copper and silver. There's a painting upon the wall, a sort of blocky painting of the boss's boss, this great brute of a man staring at you with those avaricious eyes, desiring what he sees. All of this this imagery, this sort of dark, kind of almost passionate, but also cold criminal energy when you come in here. And it's going to be organized. You're going to have priests and orders and bishops going deep down underground where there's some old fraying woman, just very quiet, very calm, and unlike most of her kind. Let's make it a Ferrum woman. That's better. Just this old old Ferrum woman. You wouldn't expect it, but she's this archbishop of crime, just deep down in the underworld, and the priests come to her and she speaks to them. Now, boys, I want you to go out there and I want you to spread the faith. I want you to find the folks who we can bring into the fold. And, just this conspiracy. And you're also going to have the shamans, these sort of, raggedy, almost kind of crazy highwaymen out down on the roads, down at the roads, down by the river, down in the woods. They come out of the woods. They've got a little pet weasel with them. And they've got, a gang of goons with them. Yes, Kasadur has brought you to me. Give me your money now, And they're crazy, but they're thugs. Or maybe they're not crazy. Maybe they're just more shamanic, and it's that ogre who comes stepping out, and he's got that pimp cloak, and he's on the road, and he's got the pimp cane with what looks like, the design of a weasel on it. And he says, and he kind of throws out, some dust at your feet, and then you've got frostbite, and you're like, and you fall down, and he's robbing you, and he hits you over the head with that stick, knocks you out, and takes your shit. So yeah, you're gonna have this church played up. You're gonna have circles, shamans out, with their little cache of treasure, and they're gathered in the woods, or in the underworld. Even better, they're in the underworld with this cache of treasure they've got, and they're singing up praises in Moolish and Tohulian, and perhaps in ancient criminal cults, even in Niffen, in the cold caverns of the underworld where the criminals retreat to safety from the prying eye, as they engage in these sort of strange rituals of wealth and power and crime and subversion and trickery. They're cheaters, they're liars, but the one thing they are not is Kasadurians are not parasites. Many of them are lazy, but many of them are also hardworking, and they fight, and they take, and you know what they are. You may not know exactly what they are, but you know what they are. They are not medians. They're not secretive people in a suit who you know nothing about. These are thugs and criminals and con men, and they know what they are, and they accept it, and they love it. So talking about using kind of if people were to meet with Kasadur. Kasadur, he's a god. He's powerful. He's not going to bitch out for you. He's not going to be, but he might pretend to. He might trick the players into thinking they have the upper hand, that they have the power, and that he's just, helping them out, when really he's pulling their puppet strings. He's tricking them, and then he's going to show up at the end and make a mark out of them, take their treasure. But Kasadur can also be reasonable. He wants worshipers. And if you're willing to do the dirty, if you're willing to be a thug, to be a thief, to be a con man, to be a highwayman, to whatever, if that's what you're going to be, well, Kasadur loves you. He does. This is a God who has affection for his kind. It is why he teaches his followers. It is one of his greatest commandments. Do not snitch. If he was just a selfish, pragmatic God of crime, surely he'd encourage the selfish pragmatism of the snitch. But no. There is honor amongst thieves. And that honor is boiled up into one simple phrase. Snitches get stitches! And that's how Kasadur rolls. And so he's going to be showing up. He's going to be talking, right? You want him to be charismatic. You want him to be all over the place. He can be intimidating. He can look down and he can say, I can bring ice and death upon you if you disobey me, you filthy, flesh-bound mortal scum. But it can also be likable. It can be, talking, hey, no, yeah, I will give my blessing to the one who serves me well. It's simple, really. You give me what I want, and you have my blessing. And he's going to be appearing to you in caves, and he's going to be sending omens through weasels. You'll see one scurry by and look at you, and then scurry away. You'll be getting, strange the sounds of coins. You'll be walking along the street, and then you'll see it walking by you, that wealthy merchant whose two bodyguards are just a little bit too far behind him. And as you see that, you feel that, oh, this is it. And you can scurry up there. The priests, when you're good with them, they're going to be giving you secrets. They're going to be giving you information for money. They're going to be trading you things, and they're going to be giving you the dirty jobs, and they're going to pay you well. They're going to pay you well for those dirty jobs, because those jobs are dangerous, and because these folks, they've got so many enemies. They've got the law after them. They've got this after them. They don't want to make an enemy of you. All right, so now kind of using the church in the story. I think they're best used as sort of a neutral thing. Not a protagonist, not an antagonist, but a sort of backdrop of the story in general, where you're going to be, say, if you're doing something political, you're dealing with your political allies and enemies, and then in the background there's the Kasadurians, and they can be a problem for you. They can be bribed. They can be used. You can allow them to thrive, or you can make an enemy of them. Just this criminal energy that's going to come into any city going on in the background, or in a more adventure-focused game, whether it takes place in a single city or if you travel all over the place, you're going to find these gangs in towns and cities on the road. They may cause you trouble. They may try to rob you. They may try to kill you, or they may try to help you. They may give some sort of aid. You can get information out of them. Many of them are cowards, so you can crack some skulls and get some info. But if they're particularly pious, they're probably not going to snitch. But there's a lot of things you can say to someone who is not law enforcement without it counting as snitching. But then, you can do the protagonist or the antagonist route. With Kasadur as an antagonist, I think this works great. I think this works best in a political game. If you have players trying to build something, trying to create something great, you can have criminals just jumping onto this, becoming a predator within this society that the players are trying to build or work within, and going against them and engaging in wicked and evil activities, threatening good common people and taking their shit, knocking them out, blackmailing people, embezzling money, just totally manipulating people and causing trouble for them. It can also work in an adventure game too if you've got particularly heroic or orderly PCs, orderly catalysts who are not interested in putting up with that wheeling and dealing, who don't want that filthy criminal life, who don't want to be associated with that, who see these people as evil and hateful and are gonna bump up against them, and it becomes I'm sick of these bandits. I'm sick of this filth. What about these normal ass people? What about them, huh? And you stand up for them, and you fight these criminals, these forces of chaos, destroying the world around them. But Kasadur and Kasadurians can also work great as a protagonist, as an anti-hero. Kasadur fought against the trolls in the Gods' War, and he fought against the forces of darkness. This is a god who was willing to fight to protect the world from destruction. And for selfish reasons, but he didn't just support, the non-darkness followers. He fought against darkness. He put his immortal divine life on the line to protect the world. Yes, for selfish reasons, but it was still brave, and it was still a sacrifice, even though Kasadur is a coward. And so you can have these anti-heroes. You can have these people who want to do the dirty deeds, who want to get the coin, but who just have that line. Just have that line where cheating, robbing, lying, stealing, beating the fuck out of people and taking their money, all good. But sacrificing a bunch of people to a demon, not with that weird shit. Not with that weird shit. Not with that weird psycho, creepy, darkness trash. Not in my town. I'm not putting up with it. Me and the gang, we're going to come in. We're going to find your warlock ass. We're going to sort you out. We're going to take your occult trinkets and we're going to sell them on the black market. And fuck you. Fuck your moons. Fuck your disease. Getting all this filth up in here. Getting the common folk sick. How am I going to take their money if they can't even work? You know, or you get Mother Yurga coming in and you're looking at that. Hold on a second. This is creepy. This is creepy. All right. I'm getting the idea all this weird shit you snake people are doing isn't just about the money. And you're making me uncomfortable. You know, you got the frickin' Jurans, you know, wolves coming in here. Nightmare, some horrific monster haunting the people coming into their homes. What is this shit? Oh, fuck no. You know, and you get that heroic selfishness of just not wanting this shit around because it affects you badly and also because it's too far even for you. You know, you can be a bad person and then side with the good guys simply because the bad people are so much worse than you. You know, that's an option. Someone else was home. I didn't even realize it. Just saw the door open and close. Whatever. You know, maybe it was Kasadur. Maybe he just robbed me. But you can get up to all of this. You can have positive aspects to it and negative aspects to it. And you can be a traveling criminal sort of character where you're standing up against corrupt kings, and then helping other corrupt kings probably, because that's the way you roll, depending on the type and style of the corruption. But yeah, Kasadur is an interesting divinity with a lot of stuff to mine, and kind of very underrated in my opinion. You know, he's the Black Hand, he's the gangster, he's the not so good freedom fighter, and he can make for a wonderful addition to your game and a wonderful backdrop. And his church can be very unique and fun to play with, fun to work in different ways. So I definitely recommend using him if he might fit into your game. Next video coming soon.